Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? We welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 90. We are slowly creeping our way to the big 100, Michael. I am here with the entire crew, Michael the Show Pirelli, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, and we have here Justin, Satchel, the Intern Sanchez, and I am Dave the Egg Regina.
Regina.
There you go.
Regina. Justin used to be the most famous. Yep. Now he is number 2 on the ranking.
Listen, it's so funny. That video is over 100 million on Instagram and TikTok. Just bizarre. I don't know. But the way the world works is crazy, as we were saying before.
Here's what I'm thinking. Do we do a, you know how they, what's it called? Duet, right? It's called duet when they like clip them together. Do we just start everyone we know, tell them to catch eggs from you and just keep making videos? So it's gotten pretty hilarious because even people at work, high level positions, right? Yeah. One of the town leaders, I see him and his wife is on the phone and he's like, Dave, hold on 1 second. Puts her on speakerphone and she's like, hey, Mr. Regina, can you make me an omelet with your biceps? Yeah. So people are just saying it all. Which I thought would be hilarious if you do your clip and then I like catch an egg in a pan and I'm like cooking it. I think we should start doing like little memes. That is pretty good. Like every week, just one a week. What's good is that my video's already there, so you could just take that. So you have to do everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be my by next episode I'll put out one meme, but I won't tell you when I'm doing it. And I'll just do it and see how it does. That's hilarious. On a serious note, man, I know you get nervous when I do this. Yeah, why we got to switch to serious? No, just very quickly. You know, there's two officers in New York City that got shot and killed, man. So we've been on a big gratitude journey here with the No Snooze Podcast. A big part of life. But to see, two young individuals that barely even got to live their life. One was 22 and 27 years old at the NYPD, man. And I know this stuff happens every day, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I watched one of the wives. This officer was 22 years old. His wife had a 10-minute video on Instagram, which I reposted, which was an awesome video. But she was telling a great story and how they were kids in love in middle school, the whole, the perfect love story. They just got married in October and now he's dead. He'll never come home. But she was saying, what's so sad is that Friday started out like any other Friday. Then they got into a fight. And basically he would always bring her, I guess, to maybe her mother's house or somewhere prior to going to the 3-5, the precinct. And she had her cop lingo down. She was kind of explaining it in a really good way. And she said, we got in such a bad fight. He took his LeBron jersey off the wall, took his chain off, gave it to her. So they were fighting for a little bit, right? Then she goes, I'm calling an Uber. She calls the Uber. He's like, listen, this could be the last time that I have an opportunity to bring you, this could be our last opportunity to drive in a car together. So random, right? And she was being stubborn. And the way she explained it, she was like, it's the biggest regret of my life. And she never got to see him again. Gets the text message, hey, you got to come down to the Harlem Hospital or whatever it was. And sure enough, he was identified. So the point is, you never, I know we always hear it, but you never know when that time is going to come. So we always have to live with a healthy urgency. It's one of the most important things in this world. Urgency is different than rushing. I think when you're rushing through things, that can cause some anxiety, some depression, some side effects like that. But a healthy urgency and an intention in everything that you do in life is extremely important. So rest in peace to those guys. And again, I know this stuff happens every single day, but I think there was a big lesson there. Well said. I've been consciously trying to, with stuff like that, constantly remind you, consciously trying to make the extra effort to attend things. And knowing that, yes, it'd be much easier not to do something. Yep. But would I, if I didn't make it till tomorrow, would I regret not going? And the answer is yes, I do it. Now, how did you... So like swim class. Yep. Today, I will sneak away from work and drive to Yorktown, go to swim class to watch Livy, and then I'll drive back to Greenwich, get all the rest of my stuff done. Yes, it screws up my schedule a lot, but for me, it's worth it. God forbid, something did happen, I'd be like, I wish I went, you know?
Absolutely. I thought you were talking about me, actually, because I've been taking Aqua Zumba on
I would love to watch you in the,
so
in the
I thought
water.
you were coming to my swim class.
When's your swim class?
No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, I'm going to swim class, and I assume it's with Callie, and it's just you going to class.
So we've been debating this, too, like at home. You know, my wife was like, all right, now you get in the pool, you know, because it's a little cold. But we don't have to get in the pool at all. Right, like it's a one-on-one instructor.
Oh, really?
With Callie, yeah. So no parents in the pool, and it's just Callie and the instructor.
So I talked to Matt about this because I was like, I would like to do it, but it's all moms. Like, I don't want to go and intimidate everyone with this body.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
That's
I don't want to make them uncomfortable.
That's the point. So I asked Karina, you know, if I do take a class that involves other parents, can I go shirtless?
Yeah, you're in the pool, aren't you?
She said no.
But you're in the pool.
She said I gotta wear an Under Armour.
No, if you wore a shirt in the pool, that would be worse because then people would be like, "What's wrong with this guy's body?
What's
that he's
wrong
not
with
showing."
He must be 20% body fat.
No, you must have crazy tattoos or like something that's.
Guys, I got limp over here.
Yeah, well, Justin touched your mic.
Justin, I'm is that right? Yeah, I think I'm good. All right.
Nothing gets me more nervous during a podcast than when the microphone gets loose and I'm like, oh, that's what you see. If you noticed in our growth of the podcast, I don't touch it at all anymore. Have you noticed that? First, like 50 episodes, I touched it.
This needs to be on recorded.
Is it true?
For the first 80 episodes that we recorded, you touched the microphone, you yanked down on the cord. I could always hear the little feedback.
Yep.
But thank God, in the last 9 episodes, you've
Hands
been
off.
a whole new person.
I'm simplifying everything.
New year,
I'm
new
simplifying
person,
everything.
new you.
Trying to
There
be
you go.
better.
Good job, Michael.
But the swim class debate is something that I know like every parent goes through because last one I went to, it was all the mothers. And I'm like, I kind of want to jump in. Part of me is I also don't want to be late and then like Livy be held up because I'm late.
Right.
So being able to just be like, which I don't know I'm allowed. Dana says I'm allowed, but I'm like fully dressed sitting front row watching.
Is it hot
everyone
in
else
there?
is sitting? Yeah, dying.
Yeah, I know.
But I like it, you know.
Shed body fat while you do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a sauna. It's a double whammy. But it is like you don't want to be the one. But then I think like, who cares? I'm never going to see these people again,
That's right.
ever.
Except
Especially
for next
because they're in
week.
Yorktown.
Except for next week.
Yeah.
And the following week. Yeah, exactly. Podbot update, man. I'll start us off. It's pretty funny because today I took the Peloton, so I tagged Cody Rigsby, and people were privately
Cody's
texting
the
me.
dude, right?
Yeah.
He's the guy when I think Cody.
Yeah, Cody. Yeah.
Your wig, fix your wig.
Exactly.
I love
so,
that guy.
so everybody was texting me personally this morning. Did your wig fall off? Because he does have some pretty funny dance moves.
Hilarious.
Sometimes I try them, sometimes I don't. But your boy's 33 for 33 on the year.
Yeah.
But it will be coming to an end. It will be.
Why?
The streak. I'll talk about it. Got some health information that I will share.
Jesus Christ.
Later in the pod. But training is going well. I think the diet is on point.
Is it major and serious? Because you're making me nervous.
What, on the health?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been serious. Right? It has to do with the Crohn's disease. We'll talk about it when we talk about our topic today is going to be stubborn versus stupid.
Are you on the way out? Do we need to find another
On the way
co-host?
out. Yeah. Now you're tying it all in.
You just got
The gratitude
famous,
piece.
and now you're leaving me.
You see why I started with the gratitude piece to take us all the way through to the end of the podcast when I'll make an announcement.
Yeah,
that'll keep
listen.
everybody listening till the end of the show.
Like, subscribe, follow. Well, our subscriber count is slowly growing. It's slowly growing.
No, it's not. It's not that serious. It was more of an eye-awakening experience for me.
Fair.
So again, the training regimen is going well. I'm kind of obsessed with creating my workouts the night before, and I'm tying a little bit of everything in. I'm doing a lot of full body stuff, and then I'm doing my bro splits, as Michael Pirelli likes to put it.
Bro splits. Everyone asks me all the time, ask Dave more questions when he talks about working out because you're so effing vague. Putting my workouts together. Yes. Sometimes because it's second nature to you. And for I'll say the general population like myself, we'd like to know what goes through your crazy brain.
Yeah.
For when you say putting workouts together, what's the process?
So it depends. First thing I have to do is I have to look at what body parts do I want to work the next day, right? And then I also have.
So how do you figure that out? Like, start there.
I mean, well, so now I haven't taken a day off, so I've kind of been just like circulating through all the body parts. But I like to make sure that I get my compound lifts in at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
Out of this 7-day rotation that I'm in now. But then when I'm not doing the compound exercises, I'm working multiple body parts and a lot of high intensity interval stuff, but still with heavy weights. That workout that I mentioned with that 100-pound dumbbell, I've been doing that one a lot, which is awesome. You literally just take that one dumbbell and you basically go through an entire circuit of incline chest press, shoulder presses, dumbbell rows, but you're only doing 4 sets of it. So your body is actually okay the next day. You're not like, beating
Burning
that
out.
body part to death. And then front squats with that actual weight and also shrugs. So, 100 is the highest that they have in the gym. I need them to get a little bit,
Kind of amazing that you do a squat with 100 and then you just shrug 100. That's very like...
Well, it's strange, but there's no like...
It's easier because then you go from one, but it's still the average person is not squatting the 100 and then being like, oh, I'm going to shrug 100
Right.
too.
Or press it.
Or press it.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the hard thing. But again, it's more of a, I go from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next. Then also, I do have, as you said, my gym posse back in play from time to time. So when they are involved, now I have to do circuits. Because if I'm not doing circuits, then it's just going to be a waste of time.
Okay.
So I like to incorporate different styles of my training. And then every day I started to incorporate just walking on the treadmill for 15 minutes while I'm doing...
Welcome to the team, dude. Walk all the day.
So I used to do it when I got to work to do some Instagram stuff, obviously prior to the workday starting, but I would get there a little bit early. I'd sit down, have my breakfast, and I would bang out some Instagram stuff. I'm like, why not just walk a little bit extra, add to this, give me a word.
Physique?
Yeah, this
peak
pod
physique?
bod god.
Pod bod god. Oh, okay.
Pod bod god physique. Okay.
All right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Took it another level. I mean, peak physique's like...
Man, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, man, so I just added that too. And
did you write this down? So like the night before, you're like, all right, tomorrow I'm hitting whatever, chest.
Yeah,
And then
so
you write down your sets.
I have it in my notes.
So you put it in your phone, and then when you're doing the workout, are you checking it off?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I've done that. I have a journal actually from years ago that I have 3 full years of workouts in.
Pretty awesome.
Which is awesome. And I have the checks next to it, the sets, the numbers. But that was the way that you can really see an increase in what you're doing. That's real data.
And then you have the feeling of you completed the workout too. Like I was doing just kind of by feel.
Yep.
And then you'd kind of just finish. You'd be like, I could do more. I shouldn't do more.
Yep.
So it's I like recording everything if you can.
It's awesome. And then also what it does for me too, when I record stuff, I go in with that focus and that intention. So I know where I have to go.
Less wasted time.
And then also what I've done to just challenge my mental a little bit is I always do a little bit more than I have anticipated.
Okay.
I write down what it would be a great workout and then I just do a little bit more. So if my last set was supposed to be 10 and I could bang out 12, I do it. And it just gives me that added boost of motivation. But I just do it to stay, listen, man, I do it to stay mentally right.
Sharp.
And, my clarity, I guess, for the day. Because, we were sitting down last night, Karina and I was like, just look at this. Like, look at my schedule tomorrow. And she was just giggling. Like, it's actually comical to look at in a day how many different meetings I have all scheduled.
Yeah.
And they're all, important meetings, but not every meeting is a benefit to me. Mm-hmm. It's a benefit to, me making a decision for, I guess the team in place. But that's how the cookie crumbles, man. And I signed up for it, so no complaining here.
Yeah, everything you said, I'm people are gonna start calling me Dave Jr. in the gym over here because I'm freakishly strong. No, the recording the workouts has been consistent. I didn't do this morning because I went to the Rangers game last night. I snuck away and went in with. Was he smell nice? I snuck in with Joseph Salvo, the in-laws, father-in-law, and then the 2 brother-in-laws.
Oh, boy.
So we met at a nice pub prior, and then we went to the game. Always a good time when you link up. I didn't even remember our spots. So I was like, did we come here? I had to ask Chris, and Chris was like, no, we weren't here. But it was a more low-key night. I mean, we did have a couple beers. I'm definitely allergic to Bud Light because I felt so terrible. I had 1 Bud Light.
Really? Well, there goes our Bud Light sponsor.
Maybe 2.
Appreciate it.
Well, Guinness, I'm fine. And then when I jump into Bud Light, for whatever, I had the tall boy, right? I had 2 of them. Wasn't like I was definitely a little buzzed, but I just felt so terrible, like a headache, like sinus issue. So something's going on. Anyway, other than that, it was a blast. Ranger, I love hockey. I'm a hockey guy all of a sudden. Like every time they score, it was a 5-3 game, 5-2, something like that. And I never know the score, by the way, at the end of the games we go to. Put on a good eating performance, but it was very tamed because I didn't want to spend too much.
I was going to say that's 4 people now.
Yeah. So I didn't work out this morning, point being, but I've been putting together basically 1 workout a day pretty consistently. Work's been a little wild, so I've been getting up at either 5, 6, or then sneaking a workout at 10 on weekends. And I've really enjoyed kind of just keeping the foot on the gas because then I'm not like trying to get the ball momentum again on Mondays. It's just another day, so that's been good. I did my my shoulders are getting I brought the weight down on certain lifts so that I can try to build up other lifts so I'm not like completely depleting. So like for example for chest I brought my weight down but I'm doing higher reps so that I can do more incline bench, so then I can try to get a whole like I don't have to change the weight, and then I can try to bring up some weaker lifts so that in the future my actual bench press will go up because my other lifts are getting stronger.
Yep.
And I did 205 for 10 for 4 sets like pretty easily. So I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I mean, it's not 315 for 50 or whatever you do.
Stop it.
Point being though, the gym is so cold that I'm very stubborn. I'm considering being like, I need a heater.
You're used to this feeling right now. My hands are very cold right now.
This is like summer 90s right now.
I would do jumping jacks in between.
I could barely touch the bar. The bar is so cold in the morning. I think my hands are going to freeze to the bar. That's what and I wear 2 hoodies.
2 hoodies?
2 hoodies, 2 pants.
Oh my God.
Like at some point I was like, is this ridiculous?
Yeah.
Like, but I do love the cold because it forces you to kind of be very like, I got a phone call for a deal. This was like at, I guess, 9-10 on a weekend. I was short of breath. It was so cold in there. I was trying to talk to the guy. I was like, I got to call you back. Like, I'm in my gym
dying.
And it's like 6 degrees.
Why don't you just get a little plug-in?
I could, but then I'm like, you know what? Like, I've gone this far. If I can get through the winter,
it's going to be cake.
And that is why he needs his fingerless gloves.
Well, I actually put on work gloves that are like for not getting electrocuted. I got for Christmas, and I started to work out with them, but I'm like, I can't feel the bar.
Yeah.
You know when you like can't feel it.
Yes.
How do you didn't respond to my pull-up question? How do my pull-ups look? Terrible?
No, they look okay. The only thing,
what liar.
No, they look okay.
They look great.
They look okay. The only thing I will say, and
I'm so weak, dude. I'm sorry.
A lot of people, make this mistake, and I did it for a long time too. But when you're doing a pull up, instead of your elbows being out, right, you actually want your elbows like slightly in front of your body, and that takes.
Is that the shape of the bar though?
What?
Because you see how mine is.
Doesn't matter. You were very wide.
You try to bend it.
You just want to, you just want to come in a little bit and then pull into the lats.
Is your bar straight or is it curved at the end?
I have both.
Which one do you prefer? Which one's better?
Whatever is available. Some people in the gym, they sit there and they just look at themselves. And I could be using that bar.
I might have to put one in my office because in the basement, I can't get my head high enough, else I hit my head on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah, no.
That's my excuse for now.
But again, you doing something is better than nothing. Especially with a pull-up. It's muscle memory.
You know what sucks is I used to be pretty good at pull-ups. Mm-hmm. Like, not ever like what you do, but I used to be pretty consistent with pull-ups.
Stop doing that.
No, seriously. Pull-ups and dips, like I used to just crush.
Yeah.
And now well, my dip bar is awful too. It's like $20 on Amazon. It shakes all the time. So like, I think I have to upgrade the equipment also, but I'm trying to get to a point where like, I can rationalize to myself it's worth upgrading. Like when I got the dumbbells, I actually was working out consistently.
Right.
So, and then I have to use the for my shoulder press because I hit the ceiling. I have to tie dumbbells instead.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah,
but that's probably good. I mean, the balance got to be good, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
you got dumbbells on a barbell. I mean, I've never seen that before. So,
well, in my head, I was like, maybe I invent something that connects the dumbbells to the barbell, like straight.
Yep.
I don't have time for that. Sell more houses.
Rogue Fitness. My boy needs
no, I'm done with the patents for now. Sell more houses.
Sell more houses. What did I want to say? Oh, Super Bowl predictions. I think.
Yeah, you're brutal, by the way.
Well, dude, listen. I truly felt that Patty Mahomes was taking this one. I did, but I will be the first one to admit any team that is down by 18 points in a championship game in football, you're not talking basketball, it's a little easier of a comeback, right? I think there should have been a lot of mental coaching going on. I think each small group individually, the quarterback's coach, the line coaches, defensive coaches, coordinators, everybody should have grabbed their mini teams because in the NFL, in practices, they all work in mini teams. And I was really looking at the sidelines to see kind of what was going on. And I think they just lacked urgency. They lacked the urgency to finish the job. And then even at the end, you could tell they were giving up. So yes, of course, my predictions were atrocious, but I want to put new ones in the books.
Are you going to do one? Let me do one before you do.
Yes. We'll go around in circles.
I'm going to explain. I don't know what the score is going to be, but the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl because the Jets beat them during the season, and that is the most Jet thing of all time. Is they have a terrible season and they beat the Super Bowl team
I like that.
That's why I'm like, if I was a betting man, which I'm not,
Yep.
I'd put a lot of money on the Bengals.
And the Rams look good, right? But so you're going Bengals.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Give me a score. Put it in the books.
Bengals 30-24.
30-24 or 32-24? What'd you say?
32-24. So 30-24.
Gotcha.
Yes, you really screwed me up there.
CV has some nice edits behind there with the No Snooze Super Bowl predictions. CV, you're up, my brother. Put it in the books.
See, I went first because I'm getting my score
There you
before
go.
you guys do.
I'm going Rams. I like high scoring games though, so I'm gonna say
Love his thought process.
35 or 42-35.
Ooh,
42-35.
I don't know how we
Rams,
got to
Super Bowl.
42.
No, yeah,
I hope I
42 is
get
a
those
number.
numbers to my
42 is a number.
boxes.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
Justin Anthony Sanchez, step up to the microphone, please.
I had Bengals winning the whole time. I'm gonna be honest. I called Bengals when he
Just-
called
here we
Chiefs,
go,
I
here we
called
go.
Bengals. I'm going with
just
Bengals
give it.
winning.
Let's go.
Bengals winning 24-21.
Wow.
Ooh, that's good.
That's a good one.
yeah.
That is very good. So
Low scoring
that-
game.
No, that would
that's
be-
ironic.
He's a gunslinger.
So
Who do you think?
And my betting has been so bad in the last no, I'm serious. Even with games in general, like at the cigar lounge, we bet sticks, right? Cigars. On college games, on NBA games, I lose pretty frequently here. So
He's so many
because
sticks.
in my mind, I want the Rams. I am going Bengals for the W. I'm telling you,
Nice.
Bengals for the win. I will go 29-25.
Okay, I like
Bengals.
it. Kind of
Watch
an
out,
all-score.
sports bettors. Mush,
Yeah,
Bet,
Mush has
bet the
arrived.
Rams.
The Rams are winning. Thank you, Mush.
Go heavy on the
We
Rams.
do not provide any betting advice.
By the way, have you seen that movie, Mush?
Yes.
Mush.
Yeah,
Kid.
Goodfellas.
He has no idea.
mush. Oh, the guy's mush.
Goodfellas.
Bronx Tale, man.
Oh, yes. Oh, he bets and he turned to mush.
You're
yes.
mush.
Throw him in the bathroom. He turned to mush. Yes,
The,
that's right. I have seen that.
You know this
You
is
sounded Jamaican, bro.
Yeah, that was
that was so Jamaican.
Okay, come on, Mush, get this over with. Hurry up. Come on, guys. Another 25 years old. Baby needs a new pair of shoes. Come on, son. Hail Mary, full of grace. Come on, guys. Right, get the shot. I don't even have to look. Come on. What's the button? Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Man, never had a fucking number in his life. In his life. Bring the dice up. Bring the dice up. Where's the kid? Wait. You can do it. Wait. I'm done that, Sonny. Hey, I don't want your money touching my money. What's the matter? I don't want your money in the same way. My money's no good no more. Why? Why? Because you're a fucking jinx. That's why. Here, put him in a fucking bathroom. Get him out of here. Put him in a fucking bathroom. Leave him in there.
You know this isn't a betting show because we didn't even ask the line. No one even asked what the actual line
What are
was.
the analysts saying right now?
I haven't watched a thing, so
Listen. All right, so we got Bengals.
I was hoping you were going to pick the Rams. So
I
we could
was.
put some money on it.
I
or
was,
something.
but I even wrote it down last night. I'm like, okay, in my head, I think that the Rams are going to win, so I'm going to bet on the Bengals.
yeah.
Now that Mush spoke, I'm down to bet on the Rams.
Yeah. Oh man, am I mush? The
You're
mush.
I could care less about the Super Bowl this year. In previous years, this is the least interested I am in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Who's the halftime show?
Jennifer
The
Lopez.
halftime show is going to be it's all the old school rappers. Dre,
Who is it?
Snoop, all of them, yeah.
It's going to be
Eminem.
terrible. They're
Seriously,
100.
Not being funny. Do you know who
Snoop is?
Like Snoop Dogg and those guys are?
Well, Snoop's
He
relevant.
doesn't. He does
no,
not.
so I'm not joking, right? My wife is a high school teacher. She teaches 9th, 10th, 12th, depending on the year. She said that a couple of her kids, a lot of her students don't even know who Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace is.
That's terrible.
Like, isn't that bizarre?
And
They didn't know who Nas was. When DMX died, they didn't know who DMX
she needs
was.
to take him to school.
You get what I'm saying? So I didn't mean that out of disrespect. I'm just saying,
Karina, the new
Lil
class.
Woozy Boost or whatever his name is. The new rappers these days are just,
What did you just call it?
Lil Woozy
I
Boost.
think you combined 4 rappers.
Isn't that should be somebody's name? Lil Woozy. Lil, that's the vibes. I have a small current event. Michael's making a contract deal over here. He's signing contracts.
And the camera's on.
Yeah. That's the best when I'm talking and the camera's on you.
Some texts you just can't wait, and I know the answer, and it's very simple.
But you're taking a long time.
Yeah, I was copy and pasting. You have to double check. I mean, you don't read.
I hear you.
We had a whole joke segment. He's still not done.
I was laughing. I said Uzi Boost. You combine two names. Multitasking is on point. Don't worry.
Current event. And this is kind of crazy, man. Just to give you guys some insight on where we are with medical technology these days, right? I was listening to an interview. David Sinclair is his name.
Yeah, the longevity guy.
Yes,
he's great.
Exactly. So he came on my Let's podcast a couple years back. It was a phenomenal one. They just redid another one with now new information. And my Let asked a question like, what's your biggest accomplishment kind of thus far, right? And he's in anti-aging and I guess it's biohacking. He takes genes. He can make people out of their genes, out of their DNA.
And their
some
pants?
Wild stuff. Some wild stuff. So he said just, 3 years ago, they started a process, and I guess it just got published in 2020, where they've been testing on mice, and they basically aged these mice on purpose in terms of their eyesight. Right. So they have found a gene tick back. That's what it's kind of called, where they can tick back your gene. And they have proven that they've taken those 100-year-old mice that were now blind and bring their vision back to life. And they're testing it on other organisms, living organisms that are not people. So if they want to do a Neanderthal, I can sign up
for it.
Right. I'm definitely up for it. But his prediction is that they will be able to cure blindness, yes, within 5 to 15 years, depending on how the funding and the process goes. Wild.
I heard a stat that for every year you're alive, your projected life expectancy goes up like exponentially. So like they think potentially us or like our kids might never die.
Yes,
isn't
correct.
That
was also in that conversation as well.
But then would you want to live if you never died? Like
100%. And he said it is easy. Like he was so confident and cocky with this. And you could just tell. He said it is easy right now for me to get inside your body and tick your skin back. He said you could be 80 years old. I could tick your skin back to you're 20. Like that's bizarre. Have you ever heard of
Show me the proof,
right? But isn't it kind of wild where we're going? So that whole episode was bizarre. But I also thought of you because he said no to HGH, but he said yes to testosterone. So if you need a little test,
I got the test.
You were talking about the test. You were talking about the juice. But so that was super random, but it's just crazy to see where we're going with technology. Tie that into what I'm going to say later.
What?
He said the importance right now is to stay alive.
That's my whole motto in life. Stay alive.
Seriously, because like you're saying, they're going to be able in our lifetime to turn us back.
When I play blackjack, I literally in my head say stay alive. Like give yourself a shot.
Just don't bet with me.
Don't bust the 22 plus.
Don't gamble with mush.
Don't pull a monkey out. They call it a monkey, and then the people go over. So also with wealth, it's much easier when time is on your side. So if you want to get wealthy, your best chances is to stay healthy.
Ooh.
Dr. Seuss.
Look at that. Dr.
Seuss rode here on a moose.
But also think of the economy, right? Economy could be booming if we're staying alive longer. That means that we're investing more, we're putting more things into the world, so the circle of life keeps going, right? There could be a shortage in food, but then I'll just look for people like Justin Anthony Sanchez and snatch that.
Yeah.
Right?
You started at the legs,
your lunch
your way up. Oh, snatch it. I thought you meant eat him.
No.
I thought you said I will grab that kid and snack on him.
Bro, you'd starve eating him.
We wanted to take a quick second to let you guys know that we partnered with our good friends over at Orgain.com. We're happy to offer our listeners 30% off by entering the code NoSnooze30. Again, that's NoSnooze30 for 30% off your first order. If you're on the market for a new protein powder, nutritional shake, protein bar, or Mike's favorite, collagen peptides, Orgain is your one-stop shop. As all of you know, my Crohn's disease is currently in remission, and the only protein I use is from Orgain. My personal favorites are the chocolate peanut butter and the vanilla bean. With the code, you can try a 2-pound tub for under $20. Talk about not snoozing. Go get yours today. Now, back to the epi.
But the time concept, the transition for the concept of the episode, which I think makes a lot of sense, is that if you can extend your timeline out for anything,
yes,
it makes it a lot easier to be committed to an investment, a process, whatever it is, versus if you look in shorter time spurts, it's really hard to stay committed to things because if you don't see the results in that timeline, you get worried. It's called paper handing things. So like when the market crashes and you're like, I don't know what to do. I need the money now. You sell, you paper hand it, and then it shoots back up and all that. So that concept goes with not only wealth and financials, but also like processes. So like you're in the gym for a week, like myself, and you don't see results. You're like, this isn't worth it, blah, blah, blah. And then you just stop doing it. And then, but in reality, if you stayed with it, the first week you just lost a lot of you gained muscle versus you thought you gained fat, whatever. So it's the longer you can pull out a timeline. Like if you look at a stock and you look within a month time frame, it looks like the world's ending. And then when you zoom out, you're at the top of a trajectory that looks like you're the richest man in the world. So it's interesting. Zoom out.
Zoom out.
Zoom out. If you zoom out, it's easier to stay committed and not be stubborn. But sometimes you stay stubborn.
Yes.
Which makes you stupid.
So at some point.
At some point.
Right? So I told Karina, and I told you that I would tell you this on the episode.
Yes.
So I say...
What a transition, by the way.
That was smooth. I say to my wife,
I slap your nut. Every time you knock on me,
we're trying to stay on the mics while we're going back and forth, giving each other dapskis.
With the tightest shirts of all time because of the lats.
I have the stretch performance.
That shirt's screaming. As I've said for earlier episodes, a tailor's worst nightmare. He comes in the room and they're like, we got a lot of work to do. But they must love it.
They do.
Because that's why they earn their profession. Right? Like if I walk in, the human mannequin, some would say, they don't have to do anything. They're like, oh, you're perfect.
Mannequin. You're perfect.
Versus you, they're like, oh my God, we got to get more fabric. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm telling Karina, I'm like, listen, we're going to talk about, stubborn versus stupid. What do you think about the topic? She was like, I think it's phenomenal. You're both stubborn and stupid.
Oh, tell Karina. Right? Don't lump me into this.
Right? I was like, wow, thanks, babe. She's like, no, just kidding. But really, though.
I'm just a co-host.
Right?
All right.
So yeah, man, I think there is a fine line, like you're saying, between stubborn and stupid. I happen to be a very stubborn individual myself with my approach. Oh, I thought CV was leaning in to say something. I'm like, don't get me yet. But I think there's pros and cons to being stubborn. But as we'll talk, I think there is then a time where it becomes stupidity.
Well, on the way over here, I was really thinking hard about it, which I usually do before our topics. I'm like, what the hell am I going to say? Right off the cuff, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, I think stubborn is when you are just sticking to a decision because of emotion and not facts.
Correct. Ooh, very good. Whereas stupidity becomes a lack of intelligence. It's not a stubborn
versus stupid. It's just if you're being stubborn versus I'm being committed to what I want to do.
Yes.
It's when you're just like I'm doing it because I'm doing it.
Right, but
because I said so.
Question, are you lacking intelligence at that time?
Well, technically, if you have feedback that's telling you otherwise, but you're not going with that, then yeah, I guess you're being stupid.
So I think one of my biggest strength, I guess, is that I am stubborn in my approach to things. When I don't want to do something, I'm able to be stubborn and say, no, I see the bigger picture. I'm going to do it anyway.
But I don't think that's being stubborn. I think that's being smart with your decision making. It's being perceived as stubborn because you're not moving off it. Okay. But if you explain to people, I'm not doing this because it takes away from X and Y and Z,
that makes
sense.
Have
a reason versus I'm not taking out the trash because I just got home from work and I'm cranky.
There you go. Yes, very, very well said. But I think stubborn people are viewed in a negative way because we're so decisive, right? We know what we want. But I will say I do attribute my stubbornness that has also translated over to my resilient approach to things, my action-oriented mindset. I think all of that is inclusive in the term stubborn. But honestly, I think there are times that, being stubborn is not the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Happens a lot in my relationship. I've come to realize that. But the bad is when there's overwhelming evidence that a person is wrong, and then that person continues on their path, but the evidence, like you were saying, the data is in the opposite of what they're saying. Now that becomes stupid.
So I have a counterpoint to that.
Okay.
So I thought about this too, because I'm like, that I agree with to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, we'll talk about investments per se. Lately, data would say you're an idiot if you invested in
Peloton. Go ahead. 100%. Peloton is an all-time low right now.
All right.
Literally, they took it off the NASDAQ 100.
If you want to go there, we'll go there.
Go ahead.
So, but my point being, data would say that you're dumb, you should sell, right? Some would say. Some. If you believe in the underlying business of what is in the pipeline, you have other data that is not maybe public, or it's past the like general public's why they would ever research it, right?
Just to give context on Peloton,
do you have an example?
Yes, there is.
Because I don't know.
They are slowly in talks with Disney on a purchase from Disney to acquire
Music
Peloton.
and stuff. Oh, there you go. So
something like that.
For example, so that's not a general public, right? But the majority of people now would be like, you're an idiot.
My mother-in-law.
Okay, this is like perfect. You're giving
she was like, David, we should have sold it when it was $180 a share. You know, we quadrupled our money at that time. We should have sold it. I know it.
Tell your mother-in-law. I know she listens. Elon Musk looked like an idiot when he threw a brick through that new truck that they brought.
Yes.
And everyone, or when he smoked weed on Joe Rogan.
Yep.
He looked like an idiot. Now he's God, right? People absolutely cherish this dude. He can do no wrong. He's done a million things. But in that small point in time, he was an idiot.
Yes.
So it's like you're an idiot until you're not. So that's what you got to think about. Like, are you at a point, and I don't know the answer, where you're being stubborn just because like I'm not selling because I'm not admitting to people I've been wrong? Or are you committed because you have data that's in your head and you're buying more? I don't know if you're buying more, but you're committed to seeing it over 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is, and you're just going to stick with it. So that's the big, because some people just are like, I'm not selling because it's low. I'm just not selling.
Right. Well, that
versus I believe in the underlying fundamentals that it's going to be higher.
And I believe in the platform, like we spoke about many times itself, and they're very innovative, with their fitness approach.
Once they hire you, you can just pump the stock.
Well, there you go. But also I can see how it fell off because I was looking even at my own life, right? And I was like, all right. Once the gyms opened up, you stopped kind of riding the Peloton. You know, you took it for granted. It was great while the time was there. But now I started utilizing it and incorporating it into my fitness regimen again because I need to get down to 8%. So I need to be doing a little bit more cardio. Pair that with being a dad. And, sometimes when your morning doesn't go as planned, you can't get out of the house quick enough. So it's just convenient. So I've made an effort now to continuously utilize it a couple times a week. Karina has been using it. That's all she does. She canceled all her gym memberships.
I don't want to say I don't know anything about it. I don't want to say that like it's going to be great in the future. I just know that branding wise, when people say I'm riding the bike, I'm riding a Peloton. I'm doing the Peloton. Mm-hmm. It's branded so well that they have the opportunity to be whatever the business, Disney, however they do it. So it's, I believe in the brand of it. I just don't know personally anything about it.
Listen, just pray on it.
So for you, it's Peloton. For me, it's Bitcoin. People think I'm an idiot. I laugh. I bought more. I keep buying. So it's like, maybe I'm wrong now, but maybe in 10 years, you're going to be like, wow, Mike's a genius.
Could be, or we could just be stupid.
No, but to be honest, in 10 years, because it's a small piece of the portfolio, I don't really care.
Right.
The upside is way outweighs the downside. Because all right, you were dumb for doing it. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. Versus you made a fortune by just staying committed to what you believed in, right? Like the downside's not bad. Like I don't care if people are like, oh, that was a bad investment. Oh, cool.
That's my
Everyone does a bad investment. Yes. Like if you don't have a bad investment, you haven't done any investments.
You're not investing.
Correct. Right? Like you're going to lose something. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'd rather take the risk of being so right where people are mad at you that you're so right and like I should have listened. Mm-hmm. I can't believe you didn't tell me to buy it. Versus like, oh, remember that time you tried that? Yep. It's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I was wrong.
I was thinking even in real estate, there's so many times where, I think it's smart, the approach that we've spoken about before on the podcast where we basically, called the sellers of my current house and we're like, yeah, it's 2 p.m. now, by 5 o'clock, we're off the table. Whereas if they called us back and we're like, yeah, are you really off the table? I don't know what we would have done. We did say we were willing.
Absolutely.
We said we were willing to lose the house, and I told you that because you asked me, and I said yes, absolutely. But in hindsight, if they wanted $15,000 more and we said no, would I look back and be like, damn, that was stupid of us? Thank God it worked out. We played the stubborn card and we,
well, not even the stubborn card, but they didn't put us in that position. But if they did, at least we're in a position where they came back to us with something and then we can make a decision.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you.
I'm sure you see it all the time.
So the biggest thing is when you're trying to bridge the gap, right? And my job, and I tell everyone this now, is not to make the decision for you. It's to give you the info so you can make the decision. And I'll tell you what I think. And like value's difficult. You never know how it's going to pan out. But I'm here to kind of talk you through it and stay unemotional because you get emotional. For example, working on a deal, I won't tell you specifics, but we were in a situation, it happens all the time, where a seller kind of, hit us to the side and then came back to us. And then they came back to us, and by the time they came back to us, my client was like, no, F them. But I'm like, listen, do you think you're going to live in this house for 15, 20 years? And I'm telling you, this happens all the time. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so what's $10,000 in the life of a loan? And he's like,
it's probably dollars.
He, she,
honestly.
whoever I talk to, they're like, I don't know, $10 a month.
Yeah,
And
literally.
I'm like, so do you want to lose this because you're pissed off that the seller didn't treat you right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, then what are we doing? Like, if you want not to come up, that's fine.
Yep.
I'm just saying, don't let emotion get in the way of getting what you want, right? Because yes, F the seller because they didn't treat you right. But at the end of the day, who cares? Like, it's not going to be. So we just have to talk people through things so that when stubbornness rears its head, we acknowledge it and let them come to the conclusion on their own versus me saying, don't be an idiot, which adds to the flame, right? So like if you called me, I'd be like, Dave, don't be a friggin' idiot. Emotional reaction versus what's the cost in the long term of the additional X, where you're switching emotion to facts. You know what I mean? But I think you could do that in personal life too.
Yeah, absolutely. But even budgeting for me, we were going through a budget process at work. Long story short, we ended up looking at the budget and we were down 6 figures from what we, proposed, our proposed budget versus the adopted. And adopted, all that means is that that's the finalized budget. Saw 6 figures come out of different accounts, right? So we're like, that's weird. It's 25 from here, 25 from here, 15 from here. Like, what's going on? We got to make a phone call. So we call the higher ups. We're like, how did you guys do this? And basically it came down to, listen, we're taking this money because we're in a deficit, right? Obviously the pandemic. Yes, you guys have been doing great work, but this is where we're at. Now, we took it from different accounts, whereas what we were going to do is take it from one account. So if you want us to take it from one account, please let us know. Kind of was like a, it was,
know your spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you have the state and federal levels that provide money, obviously, to the town and local municipalities. Then the municipalities disperse that funding through the different departments. So yeah, I mean, my initial reaction was like, do it. But then I'm like, what's the repercussion of that? And the repercussion was very bad.
Yeah.
So it is what it is sometimes. But as I was kind of driving here myself, I'm like, damn, Mike must go through this all the time, because if I'm a buyer and I'm like, Mike, I don't want to pay anything more than $700,000 for that house. That's it. I'm not paying a penny more. When do you draw the line to say like, look, they came back at 720. Do you want, or do you just say, listen, you're being stubborn, that's what you're going to do, and then you lose the deal?
So when you're sellers too, I think it happens a ton with sellers because they don't want to sell for anything less. It's, again, I just try to give them more data, and I try to be like, listen, I appreciate what you're saying. I understand you have a budget. I would look at these comps. I think at this number, based on the data, you're okay still.
Yep. Okay.
If you don't want to do it, we can move to the next property. That's fine with me, but it's your decision.
Yep.
And then sometimes it takes 2 or 3 of those before you get to an actual one that works. But it's you on my end, I can't get stubborn or emotional because I'm the one that's supposed to be level-headed throughout everything, right?
Yep.
When we get a deal, I'm not the one that's like popping bottles and stuff. I'm the one that's, all right, let's get to the next step. I'm the one keeping everyone calm when stuff's going haywire. So it's like, when it comes to that stuff, now being in it so long, I can recognize it, and I can recognize when I think they're making a bad decision and give them more data and lean on it a little bit and say, listen, I appreciate what you're saying. We've, and it's facts. We've been looking for houses for 2 years. This is the only house that you've actually put an offer in on, right?
Yep.
So like the chance of me replacing this house are probably low.
Yep.
I'm not going to say you might not find it better. You might, but for the X difference, do you think it's worth it? You always ask them what which is true.
Yep.
Because then they have to evaluate, and if they're like, you know what, to be honest, if we went up to the number, we can't do it. Great, that's fine. So we'll keep looking. I'll put the pressure on the seller if they want to come back to us, but we're going to look at other properties. And you might get lucky. It's all risk reward. It's all risk reward. And I'm not in these people's lives day to day, and it changes constantly, right? From when I talk to someone in the beginning of a listing to the end, their whole life changes. Kids, someone's pregnant, someone got divorced, someone passed away, they have more money, they have less money. So you can never get stubborn and set on like, this is what we agreed to. It's always changing. So the more you can just kind of like go with the flow and not be stubborn and just take things for what it is and not be attached to the results and just do your job, the easier it becomes, because then you're just light on your feet. You know, hey, if we don't accept this offer, which is fine, we run the risk of not having another one and being on the market for longer and then increasing holding costs, which I'm fine with. I can show this for years. I'm doing it full time. I'm not looking for a quick buck. At the end of the day, I want you to be happy. But it's your decision. If you want to keep trying on the market, if you can afford it, if that money doesn't make difference to you, that's fine. So it's more like, I'm just here to help you. You do whatever you want. I'm working for you, which is how you should do it.
Beautiful. Life.
Right?
I think I think it's a life lesson, not only in real estate, but to everything. You want me to go to the health piece where I was pretty stupid?
Let me hit you with a quick real estate,
Talk to me.
personal renovations.
Okay, go ahead.
So renovations are, I think, even more emotional than buying a house.
Why?
Because it's your place now, so it's your house, and then you're asking people to make it your way, but you have limitations based on what they can do, budgets, a lot of different variables. So how you draw it up and in your mind what you think is going to come out of it always is different. And you get to points in the construction process where you can be stubborn, or you talk through things and try to get as closest to what you want as possible. For example, we're doing cathedral ceilings. We were told by our electrician, we were told by our contractor, it's going to be more expensive and it's not going to be, the lighting's going to be off, this and that. And yes, there was some stubbornness and emotion involved, but Dana and I sat down and I basically said to him, like, listen, I think this is going to be a massive selling point for a renter or a buyer in the future. I wouldn't say we should do this if it was like a random nook that you wanted exposed brick, which was the case. So I'm like, I am down to push with you because I believe in this as being the right move in the future to add value. And yes, it's going to be more expensive. Yes, it's going to be more difficult, but you really want this. And I think it's a good investment. So I think we stick to it. So we got pushback throughout the whole process, but we stuck to our guns. We had to do actually more work and spend way more money to do it this way. But it was one thing that we both wanted. Then there was a exposed brick nook that Dana really loved. And she's like, oh, I'd love to have this and that. But then we had a conversation and they were like, listen, the amount of money it's going to take to build this thing, and then like, you're not going to be able to put this in its place in the XYZ. So me and Dana sat down and we're like, basically like, yeah, this isn't worth the fight. So we weren't stubborn on that, but we were committed and, I don't want to say stubborn with this other cathedral ceiling. So you got to know where to pick the battle. But it was because we sat down, we talked about it, but I had the emotion of like, no, do exactly what I want because I'm spending a ton of money with you, which isn't the right response because they're just doing their job. They're giving you the data. Like I'm on the other side usually, but when I'm doing the renovation, I'm the seller, buyer, whatever you want to say. So then I caught myself and I was like, oh, stop being an idiot. Let's talk it through and we'll get the right decision. So it was weird being on the other side.
Yeah, but I think that's super important, obviously, especially when your spouse or another investor is involved.
Yeah.
Great lesson there, too. Obviously, talking through things is probably the most important thing when it comes to any
the gut
decision.
reaction.
Oh, of course.
What we can't do it. You're going to do it because I'm paying you, right? Like you get in this like beat.
Absolutely.
Why did we do that? It's hard not to do that.
Might be the Italian paired with wanting more.
I think the because I said so is dangerous because if you don't give people reason why, they get really like, I don't know how to explain it. With anything.
Yeah.
If you give people a reason of why you're countering, if you give your wife a reason why you're going to be maybe not be able to make that, or a reason why maybe we shouldn't do this, maybe we shouldn't go here, we should go here, it's a lot better versus just like, no, that's stupid. Because that's just emotion. We should be robots. Go ahead, health. Let's hear about your dying.
Am I already a robot?
What are you talking about?
So yeah, the health piece, right? I gotta come clean here. I was a little stupid, man. So I've been pretty open about my diagnosis with Crohn's disease back in 2008, which I actually got confirmation because it was always, I thought it was 2008, 2009, whatever. So, long story short, I continue to get my Remicade every 8 weeks. Since 2008 or 9 is when I started with Remicade. I've been on 500 milligrams. I go every 8 weeks, sit down, infusion, hour and a half. It's a whole process.
Put a little extra stuff in there for you?
Right, a little extra sauce, you know?
You just
it's
like an open vat. You're just
there's a little Neanderthal bottle, you know? So, you know, I went through this process from basically 2008 to 2014 with this one doctor who I loved. We communicated all the time. He was like, you know, his communication was just what I was looking for. His name was Alan Jaffe. Great guy. Long story short, ends up retiring 2014-ish or 15-ish. The internal organization that I belong to in terms of medical, they started shifting me around to doctors. Oh, well, you know, Jaffe's patients, you know, they should go to Pirelli. Jaffe's patients, they should go to Valenzuela. So they just kind of break you off, right? I get scheduled probably like 2016 or 17 for a colonoscopy. Colonoscopies are pretty typical procedures, but are not typical in, you know, 16-year-old at the time, a 17-year-old at the time, an 18-year-old at the time. So now you fast forward a couple years and I was scheduled for a colonoscopy. Long story short, that one retires. All right. So now they pass me off to Sanchez and I'm working with Dr. Sanchez and I don't really have any communication. All in all, I'm still focused on my health and wellness, doing what I know to be proper for my diet, limiting my carbohydrates, you know, cooking my vegetables because raw vegetables aren't the best for me.
Inflammatory type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then sticking to lean meats. So, you know, I'm thinking I'm doing my thing, blah, blah, blah. They pass me all around. Now, COVID happens. I have a colonoscopy scheduled for March 20th of 2020 of that like week, somewhere in there. That was like the height, literally the shutdown.
5 years later.
Literally the shutdown. So now I was supposed to get this colonoscopy back in like 2015 or 16. We're already in 2020. Right. And I haven't got one in years now.
Yeah.
So now the COVID shutdown happens. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, this is just wild. But I'm not picking up the phone because when you pick up the phone and you call these guys, they pass you all over the place. Oh, you know, we can't, you know, we'll get back to you, leave you a message, blah, blah. It's a big organization. It's a debacle. And especially during COVID, super debacle. Right. So then they call me, they cancel the thing. I'm like, all right, great. They reschedule me for April 2020. Then they end up canceling that one. Now this guy retires. I'm like, this has got to be crazy.
Yeah, this is like it's
a joke.
Long joke.
So I'm like, okay, I got to just keep doing my thing. You know, my insurance keeps approving it. But mind you, Remicade, that infusion is a $6,000 to $7,000 process every 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So this is no joke. Like this medication, I had to almost be in my line of work or have my wife because those benefits cover complete everything in full, which is incredible. So yes, that's the benefit. So again, I'm doing my thing, blah, blah, blah. I go to my last Remicade treatment, which was, you know, probably 6 weeks ago now. And they're like, listen, we have a note here and you have to see a GI, you know, and I'm a gastroenterologist.
Oh yeah. I was like, what's that?
That's a stomach doctor.
I thought it was an army guy.
Yeah, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I was like a GI.
So
you're going to the war?
I'm like, listen, no disrespect, but here's my story. So I tell them like the whole thing. They're like, yeah, I can see it on the file. Like everything is just canceled, retired. Like it's just kind of a weird thing. Yeah. I'm like, listen, you're not taking me off my medication because I need that medication. I already see every 8 weeks, you know, I'm on my back end of it. And I get flare-ups, it's called. And I feel this pain in my lower right side, blah, blah, blah. So now I make a real effort and I call and I go in person because now I'm calling. They're not picking up the phone, giving me the runaround. I go in person.
Always a good move.
Yeah, might have my name on the jacket, you know, like, hey, this
church assistant,
No Snooze podcast, you know, here.
You have the hat.
So I go in, you know, very polite. The ladies were great, but I'm like, listen, this is my story. Pull up my file, please. But now this is 3 weeks away from my next Remicade infusion, and I have to see a GI because if I don't, I'm not going to get my medication. They're like, okay, this is urgent.
So they're doing that just so they can check you out and say you're good to go?
Because essentially from 2008 or 9 is my last record of them getting data of where my Crohn's disease really stands.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
In a scenario where it's good, they could just get you off of the... Is that the thought?
Yeah, they presume that I'm going to be on this medication for the rest of my life. But through my changes in my lifestyle over the course of the past 15 years, there could be some significant advancements
Yep.
in, my internal organs.
Or less need of volume.
Correct.
Gotcha,
and instead of 500 milligrams, maybe it's 350. Maybe it's 250 because there are long-term side effects.
Yep.
There's
400 bench press. How do I get on Remicade?
Right.
You're gonna have like all these followers that are trying to ask for Remicade. That's not like a
Well, you can't get that.
performance enhancer.
And it looks like it too because the bag.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
I've tried it.
So long story short, I end up sitting down with this guy, great doctor. His name is Dr. Macklin. I could tell he's in his 30s, maybe early 40s. He's like, this is ridiculous. He's like, this record here is just, he's like, this is absurd. He's like, so I need to schedule you immediately for a colonoscopy. Like, we got to get this going. So I'm like, all right, great. He's like, no, but seriously, like, hear me out now. And he's like, I see you're married, you got kids. So I'm like, yeah, I have a daughter. And he's like, all right, so you're a dad now. Like, you can't F around with your health. And I hear what you're saying, that there was a whole bunch of retirements and this and that. But what you did was stupid because you allowed our organization to basically tell you and pass you along instead of you doing exactly what you did when you felt the urgency to come in.
Wow.
Right. So I'm sitting there and I'm like,
damn.
And he's a young dude. So we're chopping it up. Maybe a couple curse words get thrown in, blah, blah. And it's a great conversation. He's like, listen, I'm scheduling you for next Friday. And this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to obviously move forward. But he's like, I need data. I feel stupid as a young doctor. Of course, I'm going to keep you on this Remicade for this next infusion. But what if I go see something different? And he's like, you're forgetting what Crohn's disease is. You're 50% more likely to develop colon cancer. Yeah. You're 50% more likely to have all these infections in your small and large intestine. You have 28 feet in your intestine. He's like, I could go in there and the Remicade could just be hiding something and you could be at a stage 3 cancer. Mm-hmm. He's like, every single year you need to come in and every 2 to 3 years we need to be doing a colonoscopy. So it was kind of like this mind-blowing, it was a moment for me.
Especially as a father.
And he was talking to me straight up and I loved it. And I was like, listen, are you going to be here for a while?
Yeah. Do not effing retire.
I'm serious. And he's like, well, we just sold, this organization was just bought out by another one. So he's like, unless there's some crazy shit. He's like, I do plan on being here. I'm like, all right, great. But, I will do what I need to do. So we ended up, then he even started talking about other things that I've never heard before. He's like, you're also at an increase for skin cancer. I'm like, how? He's like, it's a side effect of Remicade. He's like, the fact that you haven't been seen by a doctor for your Crohn's disease.
It's pretty crazy.
Since 2008, he's like, it's just plain stupid. And he's like, yes, it's our fault. But as an individual that cares so much about themselves, that cares so much about their family, you need to focus on and take control of your health.
Yeah.
So it was just a moment for me where instead of, I thought I was being stubborn, but that was just plain stupid. So hopefully all goes well and they don't find anything. But, and I'm a little nervous for the next,
You'll be fine. Do you want me to be there with you?
Yeah. I could record it as they put me to
I'll
sleep.
do it. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Hey, but Doc.
And he's very data driven. He's like, look, I could see, it's called polyps. Right. And then they take polyps out if they go in and they see polyps.
That's like a testing.
Yeah. And then he's also like, I'm going to do a lot of biopsies. He's like, I have to. No, polyps are like.
No, the biopsy is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
Where they take
which suck. They take samples.
Scrape.
Inside. Of inside. So it's going to be very uncomfortable. And he's like, I have to take a lot of samples. And unfortunately, because you haven't been here in 2008, there's going to be a lot of, could be a lot of pain involved.
The dentist story.
Yeah, bro. It's like terrible. But here I am, I'm telling
I'm having flashbacks.
And at first, when he was saying this, my initial reaction, I was pissed. I'm like, how are you blaming me?
Yeah.
But again, I took control just recently. Why couldn't I have taken control, in the past? So hopefully everything is under the under the big man upstairs, and he got me.
Yeah, I think. But
it was a moment.
So that's this Friday.
Next Friday.
Okay.
But yeah, this drops Monday. So then that Friday.
I tried, but you screwed me up.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, man, that's the health thing. I do have some things, and this might be from my wife or not. I'll leave that part out. But I said, what are 2 signs that somebody's pretty stubborn, right? Just dealing with myself, and I know that I'm a stubborn person. And just kidding, by the way, she didn't tell me this because she was like, I'm not giving you things. She was like, just say that you're right if you're with a stubborn person because it's the only way. So she was being funny. But 2 extremely obvious signs, and I see this at work. Unfortunately, you deal with individuals that are stuck in their ways and they're just stubborn, but always on guard, right? And looking to lash out in an angry manner versus sitting back and saying, wow, what is this person really trying to say to me? That's one sign of an extremely stubborn individual. And again, I'm speaking from serious experience with myself because I identify as a stubborn person. Working on it though. Right. Then the second thing is, instead of accepting new information or entertaining the possibility that somebody else could be right, we prefer to argue our point until we can hopefully break somebody down and prove them wrong. Does that make sense? Does that
Good.
resonate with
I think
you?
you nailed it.
Are you stubborn?
Well,
See,
the
you shake his head.
data would show. Sometimes I am. No, that was good. Emotion, and then what was the second one?
Basically, I'm trying to break you down.
Yeah,
with
you
my
want to be
point.
right.
Yeah.
So,
And you look for that moment to where you're like, all right, now I got you. You know?
Yeah, which is like that's the downfall for a
Yes.
lot. And I know I link everything to like negotiations. The number one
You should.
downfall of negotiations is emotion and wanting to be right versus getting something done
100%.
or wanting to win. Sorry.
I can speak to a little journey within myself that I wrote down, a couple things on how to change, because especially in my relationship, and even when I was, when we like to say young in the industry, I felt like I had to prove myself, and I was very stubborn in my ways. So the first thing is, you'll change only if you really want to change. That's always the most important thing. Like something has to happen within the individual to be like, yeah, you know what? I am stubborn. I don't want to be stubborn. The second thing is discovering that their need for argument and conflict is abating.
Say that.
Do you know what that
word?
means?
Abating.
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 Yeah.
Abatement is
Google. Let's go, Just. Talk to him.
abatement is
You got it.
What's abatement?
You got it.
I don't know.
Come on.
Brain's
Let's get
not
it.
firing yet.
Come on.
I got no idea.
Come on. We got to teach.
Say it again. We got to
teach. Abating. Abating.
Use it in a sentence, please.
Go ahead, Just. Can you get him on the mic?
We should have it on the bottom. Abating, like spelled out.
Come on, Just.
This is a new segment.
Abating. There you go. This is where you're supposed to be on call, man.
I thought he would know.
This dude named Bateman.
And I want him to do it. My point is, I want him to do it because the last time CV read sentences, it was hilarious. I'm just curious. I want to hear what comes out.
Did you meant Jason Bateman?
Yeah, I was typing it in. Some dude named Jason Bateman.
Dude, Ozarks, good show.
Go ahead.
I haven't watched that. All
You're
right.
on it.
Abate or abating of something perceived as hostile, threatening, or negative becomes less intense or widespread.
Right. So my thought process in it was just threatening. Like,
Yeah.
I know for me personally, I was aggressive in a way that could be threatening to other individuals. So that was one thing. And then, you have to slowly unlearn the old defense mechanisms and become aware of like, okay, this is a moment that, yes, I'm upset. I want to be stubborn, but the ultimate goal is to change, right? So I got to release that. And I got to understand that not everybody is out to attack me. For a while, I don't know why, when somebody would disagree with me, I would feel that I had to get defensive, right? And you almost get sensitive. And then the first thing you do is you lash out and you get back. CV's about to explode on the mic
He
right
looks
now.
very happy.
No,
This is the
I
happiest I've
have
ever
a
seen him.
question.
Yeah,
from
what's
one
up?
stubborn to another stubborn. What
I like you
if you
said a
feel
stubborn
from
to
one
another
stubborn to another stubborn?
Stubborn.
If you feel you are right, how do you then go through a process? Because a lot of times people that are stubborn in their mind, they feel they're right. Some stupidly feel they're stubborn. Others, data driven, feel that they're right. So that's why
Yeah.
they become stubborn.
Now, I'm just going to ask for some context on it. Is it
Well, no context. It's just very.
But is it like a debate style thing? Like,
No.
I know that
No,
Michael
no.
Jordan scored 50 points, but you know that he scored 45
no,
points?
because that's data driven. That's not-
facts.
So
yeah,
that's
it's-
facts.
opinion type
Okay, so it's more opinionated stuff.
Well, it doesn't have to be opinionated, but like my method is better than your method. Well, why is your method better?
Gotcha.
Well, my method is better because it's proven, because I've done it for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but that might work for you.
Right.
Right? That might work for you. So this is a scenario that comes to me kind of all the time. I will disagree with somebody in the workspace, and then you have to really work it out. One, I think if you're trying, wait, are you the person that's trying to work on this? Not you personally, but I'm saying, is the question that I'm going to answer, am I giving advice to the person that's trying to not be stubborn?
I think we need an
I
example
was
because I'm
trying to
so
give you-
lost right now. Well, you guys are talking like in
I was trying
Italian
to
movie
ask you-
terms. You're like the first thing
Like
and the second thing.
the process that you would think of. So you're, yes,
Right.
I guess for yourself.
Okay.
I know I'm stubborn.
Okay.
And something's coming at me, but I know that I'm right
Gotcha.
because in my mind I've worked it out and it's calculated. So
Yeah.
in my mind it's right. So now I'm going to be stubborn with. So yeah.
Gotcha.
So, on a
So yeah,
personal-
okay. So that happens to me all the time. And the first thing that I have to again be aware of is the respect factor, right? Who am I dealing with? what is my intention with this interaction right now? Where am I going with this interaction? Is this just somebody that's coming to my office and we're just chopping it up and we can, agree to disagree type thing? Or is this, person extremely passionate about their opinion? Now, if somebody is extremely passionate about their opinion, that kind of changes the game for me, because now I see that your passion is attached to it and your emotion. So I can give my opinion. Right? I'll give you my opinion and my experience on why it worked for me. But also I've become very understanding that without factual stuff, my opinion is just as good as your opinion. And you have to be completely honest with yourself and say, yeah, you know what? It might work for me, but that process for that person and their opinion might work really well for them. And that was one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with just on a day-to-day level, because I disagree all the damn time. But my way is not the best way all the time. So I almost like to say, well, you know what? I don't agree with you, but I want to try it now because I want to see for me. Does that work?
What if your method, and I guess take this with a grain of salt, is proven? And when I say proven
for yourself,
is proven for yourself, obviously, because the way you've worked, the way you've done your things, right? And so in your mind, you're very stuck on the way because it's proven.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times somebody that comes at you or says whatever, my way, or try a different way or whatever, how can you, based on what? Yep. Based on what should I change my stubbornness so that we can entertain what you're talking about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, good.
So my
By the way, can you tell it's coming from a stubborn person?
No, that was good. I have a kind of a different view on it, where like my thought is, so for example, when you list properties, everyone has different requirements on what they want you to do, right? So like some people don't want open houses. Some people don't want broker open houses. Some people don't want you to show any photos, right? Some people don't want you to do video. So I've had to be in my head, be like, I don't care what they want. I will figure out a way to sell it. So when you aren't committed to, like, you have processes, but depending on what you pick, I can adjust whatever. So then when you're in that, it's less of I'm going to do it this way. I don't think you're right. Versus like, I understand, why do you want me to do it that way? And then like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then I explain like, listen, if you don't do that, we're going to miss out on this segment of the market. That's fine. I still don't want it. All right, great. So if that's the case, I'm going to do this. All right, then what else don't you want? Oh, I want you to show the property every time. Oh, it's great. I actually prefer that. I want you to put a key box on because I want as many people. All right, you lose the control of me seeing every buyer. So I think the more tools you develop, the easier it is to not be stubborn, because I don't care what you say. I'm going to be able to sell it no matter what you want me to do, apart from me like not being able to do, like, I don't know, put my name on it, like something crazy that no one would ever say. So does that make sense? That's like a very specific example.
And now you're obviously the expert. So when you're giving your recommendations, right? Because that's what they are.
Yeah.
It's up to the client
to decide. Yeah.
Right, to decide. Yeah. Now you say it doesn't affect me either way because the house sits for 2 years because of your poor choices, or whether it sells tomorrow.
Well, it's different. It's not that the house can sit for 2 years. It's going to be a different type of buyer. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter what you decide, my game plan's still to sell it quickly.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. No, absolutely. But then, so this is what I'm looking at it. And I think this is why stubborn people get stubborn. If the outcome is going to change, if the outcome is going to be different or not successful or not positive or whatever, then does it...
But our job in being like the other side of this is to figure out how to make it successful with the new data, right? So like he's trying to figure out like, well, we'll try your scenario, but I have to adjust these things so that I give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Right. But let's say it does affect you, and I don't know if it...
So I'll give you a specific example.
Would you then get more stubborn and be like, all right, no problem, we'll do however you want, even though it's going to affect you financially, time-wise? Like, it's going to affect you. So if it doesn't affect you, it's whatever. I got you.
So here's a perfect example. Like if someone wants a big number, right? And I'm like, all right, my recommendation was $100,000 less. But if you want a big number, all right, how do we get that number? You put it as like, it's us. We have to figure this out because I think I could do it this way for this number. But if you want 100K more, like, would you be willing to invest in a little staging, right? It's just when you hit me with something, then I have to hit you back with a question and try to put the...
What happens when that does not go?
So say no, right? So say either like, no, I don't want to do it. All right, well, if I'm going to get this number, then maybe I need more time, right? They're going to bend on something. If you
not always, because here's the problem.
Yeah.
This is what I think is a problem.
Yeah.
Usually, stubborn people find stubborn people. That's how things happen.
Yeah, but
because at the end of the day, if there's two parties involved and one is stubborn and one isn't, usually there's not going to be much of a battle.
Yeah.
But most often than not, stubbornness only happens when there are two parties that are stubborn and there's a disagreement on. So obviously, it wouldn't be as simple as, oh, well, I'm going to hit you with this. Can we compromise? Because stubborn people are not trying to compromise.
So I'll give you examples of someone who doesn't compromise, right? You want to list the property for more. You don't want to stage it. You don't want, you want to still live in the property. It's like you make it the most difficult possible. So then in my head, I have to change my narrative, what I can control, to go market it, right? So if it's going to be occupied, then all of a sudden the narrative turns into limited showing slots. I'm going to put everyone back to back to back. So everything's super efficient, creates more urgency. You have people seeing other people come through. You're still going to live there. So I will be more organized in telling you which days I'm going to come show it. So there is, for every challenge you give me, there is now, I have a technique to try to paint the narrative around it so that I can then go out and actually sell it, right? So like at the end of the day, yes, you could make my life way more difficult, but I'm confident in what I've done so far that I can at least paint a picture where I give us a shot. And if at the end of the day it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I told you all the details of why this way is going to be a little harder, but I will take a shot. And then the downside is I was totally upfront with the challenges of it. I told them how I was going to spin it to a positive. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I let you run the show. And then if the results don't show, at least I know I did everything within my power to give you the opportunity to see the market. And then discussion becomes like, listen, we tried it your way, which is fine. I think these 3 changes would change everything in the future. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. We'll part ways. I had a pleasure working with you, because at the end of the day, they can't debate that I didn't work my ass off and market the hell out of it, because we had people at the property. We had feedback. I gave you meetings. I gave you all my marketing materials. Like, you can't debate that. Yes, you can be stubborn and say, I still want to get this number, but it's not going to be because of lack of effort on my end. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So no matter what you do, it's my job to do what I control and do my best, because at the end of the day, it's either going to sell, it's not. But I want to make sure that they know I did my job. Is that
100%? I think that's good stuff. I do think, though, that is because it's kind of on the sales kind of thing. I understand the rationale, so it makes a lot of sense. What happens when it's like processes? So forget about the selling portion of the thing.
Yeah.
So now think about your
listing preparation.
No. Think about you're working with the business office. That kind of helps with the process of the when it's already. You get what I'm saying?
No.
It's literally like we sold the house. We now need to contact this person, contact that person, get the lawyer, get this. So there's now a process that has to happen for the wheels to now get from we accept it to we're closing. When that process in your mind, you've made it, and let's say your business assistant or whoever handles that for you is now, I think we could do it this way. And it's not a proven fact because what you've been doing.
I do the same thing. I give them the data. I say, listen, I wouldn't recommend that. If that's what you want to do, we'll go with it. But this is the risk you run. And if they're like, all right, we'll take that risk, then they take it.
Let me take it away from real estate
what I'm saying?
For a second.
No, but do you get that, though? Because, like, for example, attorneys, right?
No, I do. But then, what I'm trying to get to is the part where it affects
stubborn
you.
people going
No, it is.
No, I'm just
because
asking
the way
questions.
I see it, honestly, the way I see it is sometimes when if it doesn't affect you, whatever. If we can, if there's a cushion, and I don't mean like personally. I mean like, what if I lose a sale because of the stubbornness?
That happens.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
So that's
But my point being is that it's the same thing as the selling process. I can tell them all the data. If they want to do that, it's fine. I can't control it, so I can't stress about it. I can do my best to make sure it goes through with what you give me, but at the end of the day, you can't control that. There's so many things out of my control in the selling, like a builder, right? Builders delayed by 6 months could screw up everything. I can't control that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I could try to help, but at the end of the day, the builder's going to do whatever the hell they want.
On something that you technically could control?
I can't.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so your business off. So somebody you pay, somebody you make sure that they're doing work for you. You would be okay losing a deal because of their stubbornness?
Of who? The people that I can control?
Yes.
But I can't control people. That's my point.
If they work for you,
you can't control them. I don't care.
Not control. You tell them, this is what I need from you. I need you to do it this way. This is the process. For me to be able to be successful at completing a sale, this is what I need.
But what if my attorneys get COVID, right?
No, I'm not talking about the attorney. I'm talking about the one person.
Do you want to hear it in real estate, or do you want to hear it in a different aspect?
No, but like,
a different aspect.
This is a good way to put it because we're like on that vein. But like, I don't know who. Give me an example of someone, and I'll explain.
I just did.
Who? But what person? You said a person,
I don't know,
but give me a person.
Your business assistant, if you have one. I don't know if you have one.
Right?
So you're out there selling, doing all that stuff. Then when something is completed, paperwork has to get done. Right?
Yeah,
in order for the deal to go through, for the deal to get fine. I'm not talking about attorneys. I'm not talking about builders.
Yeah.
You can't control that
Someone
stuff.
within the
but
team.
you pay your team member to do the contract. You pay them to do X, Y, whatever it is. That's what I'm talking about. So that's the example. That's
if
a
they
person.
screw it up,
we can call her Sally or we can call it Justin. Whatever
so
you
if
want.
they screw up the deal, you're saying? So if they screw up the deal?
They're stubborn. They don't want to follow yours for whatever reason. They think their process may be better.
Yeah.
Your business.
Yeah, they
responsibility falls with you.
They'd be fired. So, like, you know, if they joined me knowing that this is the process, yes, I'm open to hearing what they want to do to change it. But it depends on the role, right? Like, if they blatantly don't listen to me and we lose deals because of them, they gotta get fired. I mean, it's black and white.
So can I jump in? Are we
absolutely not?
Thank you. So I'm going to take it away from real estate and just take it to day-to-day, operating, because I kind of understand the scenario, I guess, that you're talking about. I see how you're putting it into your life, which is good.
The more you realize you can't control everything.
I hear you, brother. I got you.
I don't know.
I hear you. But let me speak.
I was just punctuating.
I hear you.
I said the more you know, you don't control.
I hear you.
This is good. It's good.
But no, this is good. Good conversation.
It is good. Go ahead.
You mentioned one thing. You said black and white. And I think this is what it comes down to for me and what I look at, right? Stubborn people, myself included, see things in black and white, right? There's a fine line where there's this big gray area that in what you're talking about, you are relying on somebody else to get something done that you don't agree with, right? So the first thing is being able to understand that person's perspective and see how you can come to a gray area. Because like you two are just talking right now, and you're black and you're white, and you're trying to get something out of him.
I didn't perceive that at all. Like
that's how I got it.
Oh, I didn't feel that. Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I was just answering his questions.
No, not in a bad way. I'm just saying you're trying to answer the question, and then he's trying to find a loophole into, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? So you guys are just being stubborn right there, right? So for me, because it happens on a day to day with a team.
I don't think I'm being stubborn.
But think about it, with a team of 30 or a team of 300 in the summertime. If my vision and my understanding of what needs to be done isn't the same as everybody else, which it's not, I have to now find a way as the stubborn individual to adapt to everybody else. If you can't do that, you will remain in a hole. You will remain that stubborn human being. And if you don't have any compromise in life, one of the most beautiful things in life is compromise. My wife has taught me a ton about compromise because I was the one that would always go in, no, it's going to be this way. No, it's going to be that way. This is what it is. And she would very respectfully give her side of things until, some stuff went down, and back in our, in our day, there was a time that we were going to split. And unless you really want to see somebody else's perspective, you'll never change. So you can keep asking questions as to why, what about this, what about that? The answer is you have to begin to understand other people's perspective. And also for me, understand that my way is not the best way. And that's really all I got for that.
But if you're hired to do it a certain way and you don't do it the way, that's black and white.
Of course. But again, there's also consequences, right? Because the first conversation in supervision that I have is, why did you do it that way? Were you clear on my vision?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they'd be like, I didn't really know.
Yeah.
I got to own that.
Yeah.
You did it wrong because maybe I didn't explain it right.
But
right?
So I got one for that one. What if this is a what if?
Okay. What if the vision was proper?
What if the vision was explained properly? What if it was communicated accurately? And
that person tells me that?
No, they're not, because 9 out of 10 times people are not going to own up
CV,
to.
You're doing a lot, man.
But it's the truth, though. I mean, it's life experience. I'm not telling you something I'm just making up. But
you're just okay. So I got you. So they're not admitting.
There's a few people that'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. It was me."
I got you.
That would take accountability.
But now that I'm in a supervisory capacity, right now, I have to do business, and the proper way to do business after a conversation, right? The first time it's a verbal. You have a verbal conversation. Well, this was my vision. You did X, Y, Z, and we were supposed to do A, B, C. But I'm going to let you rock, though. The next time you come into my office and intentionally do that, or even if you say that you didn't do it intentionally, the next time you make the exact same mistake, now I put pen to paper because there's consequences involved. And if there's not consequences involved, now you're a joke as a supervisor. That's something that I've seen. If I'm not willing to take consequences, now it's on me. Because if my employees and my staff and my team is not inspired by my uplifting approach, one, I need to change my approach, or two, you're just not the employee for me.
Brought to you by Dave's Dime of the Week. Dime. No, that was good.
I don't think there's any right answer, but I think the answer is compromise, and you got to figure it out. And then if it's a blatant like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, well now we have to see where the consequences lie.
There's always so many scenarios too. Like
Correct,
there's unlimited amount of scenarios. But I am very linear when it comes to like business stuff for real estate, because it's like you can't waste time fluttering back and forth. Right. It's like it's working or it's not, and then you move on.
Yeah, I agree. But also my industry, right?
But in marriage,
correct.
Very different. It's not like
exactly.
It's not working, I'm out. Like
my specific industry.
You can't write up your wife?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's the truth.
Very different.
But you know at the end of the day if you're happy in your marriage or not, and that person is happy as well. So if you're not communicating is everything. Even in my industry, I control a budget of over $5 million. The money is great, but it's nothing without my communication with individuals. Yeah. So if I can't inspire people to do their job, now that's a lack on my part. So I need to change. And then if they suck, then there's consequences attached to it. And then maybe they're not part of the team anymore, like you were saying. Yeah. All right. I think we chopped it up a lot here. I'll bring us to my favorite section, Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes. And I think we stay with the finale with Dave's Dimes.
Why? That. What?
Because it's repetitive to have me do a mediocre quote after a tremendous one. I'm just doing it for the podcast.
So why don't we change the order?
Okay.
No, so that way we build up.
Because you when you punctuate something, you want one.
Okay.
You don't want two.
All right. I will say this, though.
Pressure's on.
I'm working on something in 22 to never leave things unsaid. I don't want to look back. No. And in a good way, I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
There's too many times that I'm very stubborn in my relationships where I want to tell, whether it's a team member, really good job today, or I want to tell my wife, you know what, I love you, but I'm too stuck in my feelings at the time that I don't end up saying something. The conversation earlier about the police dying young, watching that 22-year-old wife speak on her husband, it really, really hit home for me. So something that I'm focused on is, when I'm feeling something, I want to say it if it's going to be in an uplifting way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the dime of the week. That's just something that, I believe. I don't want to look back. God forbid something happens to somebody that you love. And you could have, we always wish, I wish I had more time with this person. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. Start thinking about it in the current moment. And I think, you can really change if you want to. Something I've started to apply even at work right away. But the dime of the week, this one's going to hit home for CV, I think.
Wow.
Just off of the conversation that he was kind of asking. One pathway to self-greatness is the ability to change your mind when you're proven wrong. For me, I didn't do that for a very long time. Very long time. Now, even if the word proven is tough because now there's facts and data driven, but if somebody is so passionate on what they want to do, you got to find some way to compromise. Because if not, you will remain a selfish and stubborn individual. And quite frankly, if you're selfish and stubborn, that equates to stupidity.
Basic math. The big science hits again.
The big science.
The big mathematician.
So that's what I got
algebra.
For you. The big algebra. That's what I got for you this week. I like this back and forth. I like this. I think this was good, and I think a lot of people will relate to a stubborn conversation.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And it could be more men than women. I don't know, but women are stubborn too.
Women are I'm gonna get yelled about this. No way.
No way. Anything else before we sign off?
No, it was good. I liked it.
Listen,
I thought we were gonna end after the beautiful story you told about the health thing.
Oh.
And then you wrapped it up. I'm like, wow, what an episode. And then we just went for more.
It's all right.
So subscribe if you made it to the end. Drop a pin, whatever, buy some merch, do it all. Did anyone ask about the merch?
Yes.
Did anyone jump in?
Yes, 3. I told you
all
3.
Right, cool. We'll do a dating show for who we're gonna pick.
for who we're gonna rock with.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. There's a lot going on in life right now.
Too many.
Just listen. We're making progress daily, though. So on our journey to 100 episodes, we're climbing every week. All right. So until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
And pray for my colonoscopy.
Yeah, seriously, that's big.
That's another Effie in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.